Good morning. A warm welcome to the Humanist community in Silicon Valley Sunday Forum, to those joining us on Zoom and to those joining us in person here at the Mountain View Senior Center. My name is Ray Sunby, president of the Humanist community. The Humanist community is a chapter of the American Humanist Association. Humanism is a secular and reality-based philosophy of life that affirms our ability and responsibility to lead ethical lives of personal fulfillment that aspire to the greater good. We value freedom, health, happiness, fairness, compassion, and using science and reason to acquire and apply knowledge. If these words describe your thinking, we invite you to become a member of the Humanist community if you have not yet done so. Membership forms are available on our website. A special welcome to those who are with us for the first time. We invite you to continue listening to our weekly forums and other events. You can find all our events listed on the website. Please aid us in continuing to present these forums by donating to the Humanist community. You can find out how to donate to our organization on our website, www.humanists.org.
Okay, today Susan Shalit is here. She's going to tell us about the Motherlode Gold Country. It's an area of California rich in history, geography, geology, animal life, literature, music, art, and scenic value. Susan's been a member of the Humanist community for over 30 years, where she served on the board, installed and maintained our membership management system, organized events, and hosted many potlucks. She received the Humanist of the Year award in 2019. Recently, she co-hosted a successful concert education event in the Motherlode area involving research in Native American culture, food, dance, and music. She designed and produced the graphic promotional materials. And today she's going to tell us about this fascinating part of California. Susan?
Well, thank you all for coming. This is very exciting to me. I actually have been with this organization for over 30 years. First time I've been in presenting, but I'm behind the scenes a lot. And I'm going to show you I'm going to bring up my presentation, hopefully. Okay. So this California Motherlode, and I have a little asterisk, what is a Motherlode? I'm going to depend on you guys for reading, because I'm just going to talk. And I'm going to talk about my experiences for the past primarily 8 years up in that area, and a little background of the area. So I'm just wondering if we could get a show of hands of people who have been to this area. Okay, we have a large part of the group that's in the audience here. I can't tell in the background, but you could put it in the chat or something if you want to be recorded. So anyway, this is a picture of a large specimen. It resides in the museum at Firestone, which is in Murphys, California. And it's a very big one. It's 44 pounds and it was worth about $4 million. So it's still there. Let's see if I can get the next page. So, okay, a little bit about me. I wasn't born here, but I moved when I was a baby, and I'm almost native California. So, and I love California. I have been in software engineering, business analyst in large corporations, and right now I'm enjoying life. Let's see, is that? So I wanted to tell you some of the areas that, primarily when I was a kid, I just, our family would pack up once a year for a week and go up to Guerneville on the Russian River and rent a cabin. And that was the family vacation. I really had no other vacations or no experiences traveling. I don't have a lot, as you can see from the map, European or Africa or other parts of the country, but it's pretty intensive in the US. A lot of my trips have been tent camping, of course, hotels, motels, etc., and a few cruises. And then in 2015, 8 years ago. I think that's right. I found the Motherlode, where I bought a second home and where I live every other week. Okay. First of all, where is the Motherlode, or what is the Motherlode? We're not showing how to get there. This is just the Motherlode. That vertical yellow line is the length of Highway 49 and represents the Motherlode country. I'm going to mostly concentrate on Tuolumne and Calaveras counties with a little touch of El Dorado County. There's much more farther north and a little bit farther south. And as you can see, I live in that little circle, orange circle called Jamestown. That's where my other house is. And it's close to Yosemite, so I do take day trips to Yosemite when I'm up there. Does that do it? The areas I'm going to go over are these. When it was discovered, gold, some changes that happened, some effects, some transportation situations, effects on the land, and a couple of notable writers of the area. And 49er country is, they call it 49er, they call it the Motherlode, they call it the gold rush, they call it all kinds of things. And it is all those things. And that is the period, the 1848 to 55 is the most intensive period. Yes, Coloma, California is in, I think, El Dorado County. That's why I had the El Dorado. That's where gold was first found by James Marshall. And this is an amazing thing that happened. 300,000 people, and this is like 1848 to 55, came to California from all over the world. They were crazy. They were frenzied. They were, it was 1849 was the peak year. I'm gonna sit on this table. In 1850, 1 year after, California became a state. And according to census results about that time, it was about 10,000 people in the state of California. 5 years later, it grew to 250,000. I mean, 300,000 came in, but not everybody stayed. They wandered around, whatever, and they didn't get counted. Who knows? But that's the difference in the two numbers. And important note down below is there were people there before. And there was no law regarding property rights in the gold fields. So a system of staking claims was developed. First of all, the people that were there were mainly Native Americans. And in 1872, several years after 1849, at first from 1849 to 72, it was just put your stake down and that's yours. They would come, all the 300,000, they come and they put their stake down and it's yours. And then in 1872, they officially made it a US federal law, the General Mining Act, and allowed the staking of those lands without any consent from the people who lived there. To me, that's very uncomfortable. And knowing that there is a big thing, that they're not being asked, they're overrun, they died from disease, starvation, and genocide because these miners were crazy. And they were attacked, pushed off their lands. Incidentally, in these areas that I'm talking about, the Miwok Indians are the primary tribe that resided in the Motherlode area. They still do, to some extent, a few less. Did I already get this? I got the I think I already went there. Okay, that one, and then the next one. Transportation. Well, they came by wagon, horseback, covered, stagecoach, all those primitive methods. And then in 1869, just 20 years later, the railroads, for those 20 years, they encompassed the whole United States, east and west. That's a significant mode of travel change. And of course, because people were coming from all around the world, there were steamships were used to a large extent for the people from Europe and Asia, wherever they were. A lot of Asians, there's a lot of Chinese. Everybody knows the Chinese built the railroads to a large extent. The land, the method everybody thinks is so cute is gold panning. Well, that's not a big time type of retrieval of gold. So they got into more sophisticated and obviously destructive methods of gold recovery. They included diverting waterways, damming rivers, and hydraulic systems to wash away hillsides, eventually mountains. You can still see some of the effects of this in the area. And then gold was separated with some very toxic materials like mercury, cyanide, etc. So it had a huge effect on the land. And most everybody I think knows these two famous writers, Bret Harte, who was an American short story writer. And he was more the, talking about the miners and the gamblers and the romantic figures of the gold rush. Of course, Mark Twain is world famous. He only spent 88 days in this country, in this area, Calaveras County and Tuolumne County, those areas. But his significance is all over the area. You'll see Angels Camp has a big, gigantic mural of him. That little Jumping Frog of Calaveras County short story happens every year in Calaveras County and Angels Camp at the fairgrounds. It is a wondrous experience. It is actually real frogs, and they have an amphitheater. It's a county fairground. They have a giant amphitheater with a stage, and these guys that do the frogs, they train all year round. In fact, if you don't know, if you have Netflix, they actually had a series or a section on the training of the frogs for this event. It's actually very serious business, but it's hilarious. These frogs are real frogs. They come with their bucket, and they put the frog in the middle in the little round circle on the stage, and they can't touch the frog. They have to pound on the ground to get the frog to move in the right place. Sometimes, the day I went, one of these frogs decided to go behind the speaker's table, or not the speaker's, the judge's table. Another one went off the stage and scurried around, and everybody on the stage ran after that frog. It was hilarious. I mean, it is a fun event. It's very low key from the audience standpoint. It's very high key from the trainer. They're very, very serious. And there's a lot of other stuff at the fair. It's fun. I think I went up instead of down. Okay, so how do you get there? And what I did was draw a line from my house to Jamestown, is where my other house is, as a general navigation from the Bay Area up to the Motherlode area. And it takes me, I go every other week, and it takes me about 2.5 hours, something like that. But it's not hard driving. It's only hard driving if you leave at the wrong time of day or come back at the wrong time of day in the Bay Area. On the way, you go through the San Joaquin Valley. This is why it's not hard. It's so beautiful. And every season of the year, these almond trees either bear or come into bloom or come into fruit. I mean, it's just mesmerizing. And there's hills in the background too. So it's just, enjoy the ride, because it is an enjoyable ride. In addition, there's things during the summer like these flowers on the right. I've found them growing. I didn't notice them. I've been there going 8 years, and I think I noticed them a year or so ago. And I thought, oh my God, they're all over the place, and they grow out of nothing. The dry, barren soil on the side of the road produces these beautiful yellow daisies, and I just love them. And of course, the cornfields. There's lots of cornfields in the area. So there's nice things to see. There's beautiful clouds in the sky in the summertime, and there's many times of the year. Well, I want to give a little bit of, things like the things I need. I need bathrooms, one. I need to know where the potty stops are. And this is my favorite potty stop. It's about halfway. It's in the town of Escalon, which is, just a little town, has many, many churches. I counted once, 17 in a row and about a couple miles on 120. It's surrounded by fertile farmland and the largest walnut processing plant in the world, Jerusi Nut. But it has the best public restroom. In fact, they just remodeled last year. So it's really exciting to me to have a public restroom. And then, of course, a little bit beyond Escalon is the last chance for major commercial stuff before Jamestown. And there's a couple of noted things. I said, there's a cheese factory there that makes their cheese there. It's right on the side of the road, makes mostly Gouda cheese. And they have a picnic area, and you can go to those produce stands before, pick up everything you want, and then take a picnic at that park or in this cheese factory, wherever you want along the way. Or you can stop at all the fast food places that are in Oakdale. And they have the House of Beef, big stuff. It's like, because it is cattle country too. You'll see a lot of cattle grazing as you get up into the Motherlode area. We're getting really close to Jamestown right now. In fact, this building up in the upper left is a artist representation that's going to be open in 2024. There is nothing there now. I mean, nothing before the construction of this. There was just the hillsides and the grass and the lands. And this is going to be a 7-story building with 7 restaurants. It is being erected by the Miwok Indian tribe, which has a very large stake. It's going to have a casino, very large casino. They went so far in constructing this. 120 is the major highway that goes from, through this Motherlode area going east and west and east. And they built a roundabout at the intersection to get to this place. You need to slow down to 20 miles an hour. And you can go around, but you can also easily turn left if you're coming from the Bay Area. I mean, it's just like they really had it all covered. But they will be employing over 500 people in the area, putting in major shops and probably strip malls, who knows, big box stores, which Jamestown doesn't have now. Jamestown's pretty rustic. They're not going to know what hit them because it's going to be a large influx of tourists, people who live there, people who work there, everything. So it's a significant. There is another large casino that's farther east called Black Oak Casino. That's a little bit, maybe it's a little smaller than this, but it's the place to go for a casino. But it's quite a bit off the main road in Tuolumne. And this is so easy. You slow down 20 miles an hour, you make your left turn, and you're there. It's pretty incredible. So the Miwoks are getting their stuff done here. And they're putting their impact on the economy there. I unfortunately, on the lower right is a picture. I wanted to get a blow up of this. It's a huge structure. It's a metal, giant stainless steel table and chairs with a tea set on top. And it's as big as that building to the right. I've been looking for the picture. Anyway, that building on the right is called Rawhide Meats, and that's, important. You see the name Rawhide everywhere because there's Rawhide Road, there's Rawhide Park where I live, and they'd have this meat processing. They have a lot of cattle that they raise for this, and they do the meat processing. They have a plant that's not in the store, but the store is a retail store. If you get to Jamestown, this is only about a block away from that previous slide. It's the main street. And upper left, you'll see some of the architecture is still there from the 1800s. And some are hotels, some are empty. There's a lot of vacant spaces right now. In fact, I'm very discouraged because Jamestown is not as booming as it could be. And it might be changing with the advent of the casino. I don't know. I've dealt with the business association there, and they're very old school, old boys club, and they don't like change. But they're not going to know what hit them. I'm telling you, it's going to be dramatic. And so hopefully it'll be a little more vibrant. It does have, up in the upper right is me. Yours truly. I volunteer for a significant place in Jamestown called the Railtown. And it is a state historic park that has like real trains from the 1800s that are restored, running, and maintained by volunteers primarily. They do have a staff of the park rangers and so forth, but very small. Right now, I am involved in what's called the Polar Express reproduction, which started right after Thanksgiving. And it is, if anybody knows the children's story, Polar Express, it's a reenactment. They do a reenactment of this thing that's fabulous. They make over $500,000 a year in the period between Thanksgiving and right before Christmas. They sell out 2 days after they put the tickets up for sale in September, and they start in the Friday after Thanksgiving. Very, very popular. The kids come in, the families come in matching pajamas. If anybody knows the story, it has to do with, it's a nighttime scene. It's a sleepy scene. It's, kids, and it's, and they have Santa Clauses and elves, and they have decorations. They have all that stuff. Railtown is a fabulous place. They do things all year round. They close after Christmas for a few months, and then they open in the spring for the wildflower train. And then they do some various things in the middle, like they have a Back to the Future event, because over 100 movies and television programs have been on location here in this area and using this train area. So it's called the Movie Railroad for that reason. So to me, it's a significant place in Jamestown, in that area. And there's a lot of the volunteers, the docents and so forth know a lot about trains, history, geography, everything. They're very versed. I'm just out there leading people to the right line or serving cocoa in the train when it's on the train, when I'm on the train. I didn't want these two other pictures, the Hope sign and that little house up lower right, the Hope sign is significant. It's just down the street from Railtown on an elementary school. It was designed and put up by a friend of mine who is an artist, and then it's made out of bottle caps. And so he collected from everybody all sizes of bottle caps, colored them and, painted them with colors and put our picture. We gave him pictures and he stamped them on the caps. So somewhere my picture is there with Roy, because this was done a few years ago. And I think they might be faded, but I know it's there. And it represents to me some of the artist efforts that are up there. They're very collaborative and, interesting, different methods. This is a single person's house on the lower right. His name is Wayne. He's very eclectic in his interests. He does welding, he does car repair, he does home repair. One time, I met him because Roy and I like to stop at interesting things. And this is just around the corner from Railtown too. We went by it and he has all these artifacts in his yard. And many of them are welded. They're very decorative. I don't have a blow up picture of it, but and Wayne is a character. He has converted some kind of giant motorcycle or something, or put a motorcycle on a car and he goes through the town parade and he's just a character. But one time I had a plumbing leak under my house and I called him up and I said, Wayne, I don't know who to call. It's gushing under my house. He came and he's probably in his 70s. He came and he crawled under my house to the lower, it's a mobile home. He crawled under to the lowest end, which is about 18 inches off the ground, and repaired that leak with white plumbing tape. He said, how many rolls of this do you have? I said, I don't know, I'll go around and find it, because we didn't want to go to the hardware store, because the hardware store is 3 miles away and nobody ever likes to go to the hardware store in the middle of a project. So he used this white tape, many rolls, to this day, and that was several years ago. There's not a bit of leak. He's very creative, ingenious, and I was amazed, that he actually did that. So it's really, important for me to tell everybody that, just browse it. Whenever you go to areas like these, don't just go to the main things. Browse around, because you'll see other things that will surprise you. Now, if you're going to my house, there's a few things that pass, and I live in a place called Rawhide Park. It's a mobile home park on the side of a hill that has a view of Lake Maloney's and Table Mountain, which you'll see in a minute. And the Humbug Mine marker is on the side of the road about halfway to my house, and it's a symbol of the fact that the Humbug Mine was the richest mine in the Motherlode and producing more than $4 million worth of gold in its heyday. Now, this is 1800s, $4 million. Think about it. It's a lot. It produced mainly, for those that are technical, I'm not going to get into it, but mainly placer and river gold, as opposed to hard rock, which is normally found underground. It was owned and operated by Frank T. Moyle and his family. A few years ago, when I bought my house, I had some remodeling to do, and I called up Chris Moyle, little knowing that he is probably the grandson. He's now in his 90s, but he has a construction firm. That table and chairs that you saw in the previous picture is on his property in Jamestown that shows his construction business. And I think it is part of dedication to his family there. So it all ties together. It's a very close-knit, and they have they still have extensive land, the Moyle family. So, and I know him. Everybody knows everybody. It's a small town. Also on the way, and this is just a little ways from that marker, it's their flat area, that flat valley area that you go through. It's probably about a quarter of a mile. I don't know how long it is. And, on the left, I just show a little essence of the community involvement The sheriff's posse is not anything to do with sheriffs or law or anything. It's a nonprofit that it's a venue for events, and they do things for kids, and they have rodeos, etc. And it's in the left corner of that big picture, not the little picture on the left, which is it, but the left corner of that picture is that whole area where the rodeo grounds and the building is. One day, I was driving to my house on a Tuesday afternoon, and as usual, my car is packed with all of my stuff, my food supplies, my, essential clothes, whatever that I really like to bring back and forth. And then I see down the road, and this is the picture of it, smoke and a bunch of cars at the end of this road, and there's never any cars there. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Because fires are a big thing in all of the Sierras, in all of California. We all know that. But this is very close to home. And I drive forward, I get to the bundle of cars. They say, well, there's a fire down the road. And I said, there's a fire down the road? Okay, so I'm supposed to turn left. I get into the smoke. I then see about a block down to my right, firefighters putting out spot fires. And I was like, this is a no exit road into Rawhide Park. So I decided, hell, I'm turning around. This is crazy. These guys that are trying to get to their place, and I don't know what for. It is a dead end, and the Rawhide Park is at the end. So I turned around, and I could barely see through the smoke, but I got out of there, and I sat in this place, and I took this picture. And I talked to a man at that T intersection down at the end, very nice man. And I said, how are you doing? And he said, you know that yellow house at the end of the road, that T? He says, that's mine. And I bought it 3 months ago. And I just like, I didn't know what to say. I said, I hope everything's okay. It's like, but the firefighters are pretty incredible all over the state of California. I really want to give kudos to them. They did put the fire out. There was a few hours of uncomfortableness for all of us, but we managed to go back to our homes safely. Not always the case. Now the views from my home, whoops, are extensive. One is Table Mountain, and the other is Maloney's Reservoir. I have some pictures. Table Mountain is about, I think somebody told me 70 miles long. It's a flat mountain, and I'm going to show you the pictures. And the Maloney's is the fourth largest reservoir in the state of California, which is a little known fact. Most people don't even know about it, but it's big. How do I get to the next? I need some technical help. How do I get I click on the presentation and then click on the, try it. Oops, that didn't do it. Click on the presentation and then, oh yeah, here it is. So this is part of Table Mountain, and I've taken this just from my porch. Let's see if I could get to the next page. Oh, here. Another view from my porch. That little water area, the water in Maloney's is agricultural water. So it gets released into all those farmlands, like in the San Joaquin Valley. So even though that maybe this year it was a lot of water from last year's rain, it gets drained. And it's sad, you know, I like seeing the water, but we actually saw some boats, people water skiing and whatever in the lake this year, which was really heartening. Another view there, the Maloney's reservoir circles around in many different areas, and this is one of them from my park. And another, and another. All of these are from where I live. And the area where the docks are, and there's houseboats for rent, or people have their own houseboats to use, and they're very friendly. I went one time down to the dock and talked to the boathouse people, and they said, just go on and look at the rentals, you know, and there's some of them are very large. You know, they could have 50 people on them, and they're luxury houseboats. Doesn't really show in this picture, but I'll just tell you. And a little more of Maloney's. And this is another part of Maloney's, goes around to the right as I'm going up Highway 49, and this is called the, all of a sudden I can't remember the name of this bridge, but it used to be Robinson's Ferry, because they had, you know, before bridges, there were ferries. So in the Motherlode area, you're going to see a lot of things called ferries. But it's a beautiful bridge that I take pictures of every time, because I can't, you know, and this is a little overview of the Maloney's area. I think, is that it? And of course, the sunsets there are magnificent all times of the year. You know, of course, you have to put your camera in the right place, north and south, but it is a beautiful area. I somehow have to get back to presentation. Hold on a second. Huh? Okay.
Arrow to the left.
Arrow to the left. No, that's that. Let me see. I'm not sure. Okay, Scott, come over here a minute. I'm not sure how to get to the original. Maybe it's this one. Which, how do I get to the original?
Okay, the best thing to do is to stop sharing,
Okay,
because that always confuses everything.
okay.
And then is that the right place?
Yeah, okay, let's share.
So now we'll start sharing.
Okay. Okay. Technical interruption.
This one?
The green one.
No sound.
Okay. Here we are. So that was that slide, and then going on. Some, you know, there's lots of events up there. It's a very touristy area. This presentation was, you know, really these are things I've done or want to do, but it's all year round. There's in March, St. Patrick's Day events in Murphy's. Murphy's is obviously an Irish type town and has great music and art. And the Ironstone Winery, that one where the first slide showed that gold nugget, that big gold piece, is in Ironstone Winery. And it's a short, like 5 minutes away from the downtown area of Murphy's. There's a Celtic fair, and it's a big time thing with jousting and everything. But everything there, all the events are very well run and done, but they're down home and people know each other. And this Patrick Carnahan, who is in charge of a lot of these events, he does the Celtic Fair and St. Patrick's Day stuff and has his own band. I went to the Celtic Fair with Roy, who was at that time not able to be walking too much, so we had a go-go cart and needed to park fairly close, and there was a real problem at the front gate. They had no parking. So I said, I need the manager. So who do I get? I get the person in charge of the whole fair, Patrick, who came, and he says, no problem. You park here and I'm going to lead you in to the back way. And it was like around the corner. And it was like this is the way that area works. People know each other. They do help each other. Of course, there's a lot of politics, and some of the politics may be of your liking, may not be of your liking. It's a pretty red area. And I think most of you know what I mean by that. But then we have little influxes of blue, and I usually gravitate towards that. I do attend the Unitarian Church up there. They don't have a humanist group, but they have a Jewish, a roving Jewish temple type thing. It's in people's homes, and I've gone to their services, which are beautiful, and I've met a lot of nice people. So the things I involve myself in are a little more blue than red, very blue. And, you know, I did talk about this Calaveras frog jump. I'm going to go back out of the screen, Scott, so I may need your help again, because I want to show this Calaveras thing. How are we doing on time? Okay. Touch the screen and then move the mouse. To give you a little visual of this, I'm not going to go through each slide, but there is a beautiful pond in back of the fairgrounds, and I went to it, and you can see the frogs. You could see the tadpoles and the frogs in the water. It's very beautiful, very serene, very lovely, and there are real frogs and crawdads and all those kinds of things in there. And then these are the fairgrounds. That's the stage I was talking about with the amphitheater for the actual yearly frog jump. Maybe highlight that one a little bit. And the world record is 21 feet and 5 inches. That's pretty far for one frog. They get 3 jumps though. And the judges sit up in the under the overhang there at their tables, and the frog gets put in the middle of this big stage area, and the guy has to get it to jump in the right places, which is actually what this guy is doing. I don't know if you can see him. He's leaning on his all fours, and the frog is there, over there, and the guy is trying to get his frog to jump far. So I mean, he looks like a frog himself. What? He looks like a frog. Well, maybe he's, you know, as I said, go to Netflix if you have it, and watch the training of these frogs with their trainers. And they have other things. It's a county fair, so it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of activities, just like all the county fairs. They have 4-H and all the animals and things like that. Okay, now. What is the price? You know, the day I went, I think it was $4. I don't know. It was cheap. It was on a Friday. Go on a Friday. Oh, the prize? Okay, I'll take it after the presentation. Hold the question, because I'm not sure. I need to get back to my presentation, which seems to be ridiculous sometimes. You say stop share.
Well,
Share.
try, okay.
I'm going to do it share screen. What happened to it? The green is gone. Oh, here it is. Is that it? Excuse me.
Okay, so which one is it?
It's the green one.
Ready?
It's not green right now, but they don't go away because it has to go
Okay.
back to the
Let's see
presentation.
what-
There's some of the guys in the pond. Okay, so those are some of the events. The All Hallows Fantasy Fair was just this last October, and they do that every year. And they have what's called the Burning Harvest Man. Many of you know about the Burning Man in Nevada, but this is a mock Harvest Man. They build it out of riffraff, and they light it up at night, and it's such a fun show. And they have stands, and, you know, people can watch this. And they have dancing that goes on around the Harvest Man. In October, as I mentioned, oh no, I didn't mention this. The Railtown also has in October the Skeleton Express, where they dress up in skeleton t-shirts, and they take tours in the roundhouse. The roundhouse is a building that's used for maintenance of the trains, because they actually do maintain these 1800 something trains there. And it's a real working place, but they do tours. And during October, they do a nighttime tour and they tell ghost stories. Some real, most of them are real, scary things that happened over the last couple hundred years in that area. And then they have the Polar Express, which is going on right now. You know, when Roy, many of you know who Roy was. He was in this organization for over 50 years. And I met him through the Humanists. And we were together for 29 years. But he liked to take day trips. He was a very outdoors person. And we did once a week when we were up there, we would pack up our picnic lunch and go on day trips in the area. And this is a list. I think what I can do for everybody, if you want a real list, is share the presentation with you, and you'll have all the links to these things. But there, you know, Yosemite is about an hour and 20 minutes from my house to the valley floor. And we would do it in a day. We'd get up and out at 9 o'clock in the morning and come back around, you know, start leaving at 4, and no problem, come home for dinner. And we would go to a great area. I'm gonna have to get out of here again. I don't know what, you know, they're not yet, don't worry about it yet. See if I can do it. What did I do? That's the wrong place. I think the combination of Zoom and my presentation is a little bit of a challenge. Okay, Scott, come back here. Jesus. The tabs at the top. Which tab am I going to?
How about this one?
Yeah, but now, stay there. I want to go to one place here.
Okay.
And then I'm going to stay there because I want to go back. Okay, as you know, this is Roy. This is Roy. Sorry, I forgot to talk into the thing. And he was a great adventurer, and he lived till 92. He passed away last year. And it was he always had adventurous ideas, even though his body couldn't do it. But his mind was good until the last day before he passed away. How do I get to the next picture? I don't know. Oh, well, I'm not going to go. This scene behind him is the Mystic River Bridge. It's a beautiful spot. It's only about a block and a half from the Ahwahnee Hotel. Now, if anybody's been to the valley, Yosemite Valley, all times of the year, it's crowded. We walk a block and a half away behind the Ahwahnee down this little path and get to this area, and there's not another person. Maybe one or two. A couple of chipmunks for sharing our food with, and that's it. And that's the place. It is close and nobody goes to it. And we love this place.
Control, Shift, hold them both down, and hit the tab.
Okay. And there's many other places besides Yosemite, but I do have a couple of favorite spots in these links. The Swinging Bridge, which is a picnic area, the Mystic Bridge, which I just showed you. The Ahwahnee, I love the Ahwahnee. To go in there after you've been out and about and are tired and just want to put your feet up. I can't even, I have a picture, I'm afraid to get out though. Okay, we gotta get out. The Ahwahnee Great Room. I have to give you this picture. It's obviously my feet in this fantastic room that has two gigantic fireplaces at either end. leather couches and places to put your feet, and nobody cares. It's a very high-end hotel. Actually, in the dining room, the major dining room there, the Queen of England came and had dinner there. Well, one Christmas, my son and family came up and we had dinner there. I didn't like the food that much, but we were there. Anyway. Okay. By the time they do this, I'll be able to do another presentation. Anyway, the other places I do other things up there besides little trips. I volunteer at the Historical Society up there, which is archiving Tuolumne County's artifacts. They have over 70,000 artifacts in a database and physically there. And it's a real interesting place to learn about this area. And it's very low key, but it's something I found a couple months ago, and I really enjoy working with Mark Fisher, who's the curator there. And I volunteer at Sierra Rep. They have a fantastic performing arts. They have 3 theaters. One is in the town of Columbia, which is only 6 miles from Sonora, and 2 are in Sonora itself. They do fantastic productions with equity actors and beautiful scenes, very, very well done, and I really enjoy it. So I do usher there. The other thing I was involved in was Tuolumne County Arts, which is an organization of the arts, because arts are a big thing in the area. Starving artists is real, very real, and so the executive director is constantly trying to gather money for the arts. And they do perform, you know, they have a show right now at the Chamber of Commerce up the street that is a small arts show. And that means something under 8 by 8. And our friend in the back there, Masuma, has some pictures on show there. I don't know how it's going, but there's a lot of small arts, and it's homey. You know, you just walk into the Chamber of Commerce and just look at the arts. And they have every second Saturday of the month in Sonora. They have open night on the street of Washington, which is the main street of Sonora, that is open till 8 o'clock, and they have music, and all the doors are open to all the shops, and the restaurants obviously open, and there's music and little art shows here and there. So it's very homey. There's big parades. Like a 4th of July parade is a big thing in the area because it's small town, and you get all the small town people coming. You're right up front. You're right there with your folding chair. It's not like stuff in the Bay Area. And then there's a big thing that is the caverns of the area. So there's a lot of caverns. Roy was a caver, and he one day we went to one of the smaller caves that is a commercial cave called California Caves, and we went up there and went to the desk to buy the tickets. And Roy he always talked. Everybody knew that, the people who knew him. He always talked to people, and he said to the guy at the desk, he says, you know, 60 years ago, I went in the lake under that cave, in that cave. And somehow, and so he gave him free admission. And I thought, well, that's really nice. And then I walk up and he says, okay, you owe me $12 or whatever it was. I said, how come he gets it and I don't get it? Anyway, that's inconsequential. But we took the tour, and it was only us actually on the tour. It was pretty interesting. It's a very level tour. If you're going to go to a cave, go to that one, California Caves. It's really easy, not a lot of steep stairs, which many of them have. And when we came out of that cave and we're walking back towards the visitor center, there was a man sitting at a table having some snack. And he calls out to us, he says, hey, are you the one that went in the lake? Okay, so we walked over to this man, John Christensen. think that's his last name. All of a sudden, I forgot his last name, but it's like Christensen. And he said, I own these caves. I own 3 caves. I own California Caverns, Moaning Caverns, and another one in a little farther area from here. And he was very impressed with Roy, and they had a nice chat, and we became friends. Just about a month ago, he passed away. He was a really nice man. I have pictures of him when he was caving. I've been to his house. I met his wife. You know, it just, I don't know. It was sad when I heard that he passed away. But anyway, that's the caves, lots of them. I got it. Okay. I'm almost, this is almost the last time. The vistas, okay. I'm going to take this time to show you some other pictures when you go outside of the Motherlode area. Let's see if this works. You see vistas. I think this is a video, so it should move. Yeah, I mean, this is what you see at Sonora Pass. It is worth the day trip. It is absolutely worth it. This is a picnic area right after Sonora Pass, the summit. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful place. So you said control shift tab back. Okay, I'm getting used to this. So, and I think I have one more slide. And I do want to show this Columbia in the fall picture, because Columbia is also a state park in, and it's a town about 6 miles from Sonora. And I took these pictures last week on a Sunday afternoon. To me, it's the epitome of the area. And I just love Columbia. And they have festivals too. They had a Halloween thing. They have Christmas time things. They have all kinds of things because it's a park. And oops, that's not the greatest picture. I'm going to pass that one. But this, one of my favorite movies is High Noon. And it was filmed here at Columbia. This is the Wilson house where they got married, Gary Cooper and Grace Kelly. If some of you know that movie, it's wonderful, has a beautiful soundtrack. Do Not Forsake Me. And this I took, and it's a little skinny picture, but it's significant because it's also from High Noon. How many years later? Where are we? About 80 years later? I don't know, something like 70 years later. She ran down this street to get the train. If you know the movie, you know she was going to get the train. That tree was much smaller at the time. And that's pretty much, we'll go back to this. That's pretty much the end of my presentation.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Susan. That was very interesting. I've got notes.
Yeah. So, any questions? Oh, Les.
Yeah, Les?
I don't know if this is on topic, but High Noon, the writer of High Noon, Carl Foreman, was blacklisted after making this movie.
That was in the 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Un-American Activities period.
And his,
Can I
and
answer his question first?
Sure.
Thank you. It was in the 50s, and that was when they had the Un-American Activities events.
his daughter, Amanda Foreman, is a great historian. And she wrote a book about Britain in the Civil War that was really a great book.
Britain in the Civil War?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Name was Carl Foreman?
His name was Carl. Her name is Amanda.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Les.
Yeah. The book is World on Fire.
World on Fire. Take a note. Les always has really good information.
By the way, I don't see anyone on the Zoom. So
Oh,
if there anyone has
can
their
you
hands
open it up?
there.
Or can I open it up? I don't know.
I'm right here.
There we go. Yeah, Zem, you have a question.
Yeah, a really brief one. Is gold exploration still going on?
Not, is this on? Hello? Okay. I don't believe to the extent that it was happening then. They
Well,
did
yeah.
find something a few years ago, a very large find. Actually, it was in that first picture of the thing, but it's more recreational. And with crazy little miners, people who decide they're gonna make it rich. And that person probably did make it rich because it was worth, I think, about 44 million or something in the millions, that particular nugget.
Okay, I had a question. You mentioned the mine. You said it was mostly river gold and something else. What is the difference between river gold and what's and rock gold? Is it powdery or what?
Can somebody, is there a technical person in the audience that knows about the nature of gold? How about Clark here? Thank you.
Well, basically all the gold,
Hold the microphone close to your mouth.
okay, basically gold is in quartz essentially, and it's associated with volcanism. And this entire area had a lot of volcanism and a lot of quartz veins in which you find the gold. Erosion causes this to erode out. And so you can have little nuggets of gold in the washout, or even more so, you can have gold dust. And you can only separate the gold dust with the kind of chemicals you spoke of.
The cyanide and mercury that
That's
they were
right.
using.
But they also use that though in hard rock mining. They find a vein of gold and they just mine in, and it's much more gold came out of those kind of mines than did out of the excuse me, so-called placer mines, which is basically just the washed out material.
Mhm.
And every year after, especially like this last year where there was a lot of rain, there will be more gold washed out. So you can be sure in the rivers of the gold country, people were up there this summer looking for gold in the bottoms of the river because gold being heavy, it goes to the bottom.
And so they're all there with their little panning equipment. They're not doing the hydraulic stuff and all that stuff. It's recreation. Yeah.
The people in the room, hold the mic close to your mouth, very close.
Yeah, like this.
I did want to mention, I don't have a good picture of it, but somebody told me just yesterday, I think she's in the audience. Her name is Marty James. She's my friend who lives up there in Sonora. And she told me that there are giant rocks, granite rocks that are above the ground right now in the Columbia area significantly. You can see them all over. They were underground before. There's been so much erosion. And they're huge. They may be 10 feet high, something, I don't know.
Erosion, is it from the mining or just natural erosion?
I'm not sure. We would have to go into the details. She found it out just recently too.
Dana.
Hi, I would like to second Susan's recommendation of the Celtic Fair. We visited them a few years ago and had a fabulous weekend going around to some of these sites. And we went to the Celtic Fair, which was a truly wonderful thing. The people were dressed very, very elaborate costumes of the period, and there was a lot of entertaining things like real sword swallowers and other unusual sights. And it was just very memorable. Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming up. Yes, they came up for the weekend or a few days or a couple days, and I took them on the tour. I do tours. If anybody's interested, you come up there, I will take you around. So I enjoy telling people about the area, sharing my feelings, my experiences, and what I know, and learning new things.
Tell them about the great thrift shops
Well, because,
Yeah.
okay, Clark is asking about the thrift shops. There are many. There was one called Nancy's Hope. Now you saw that Hope sign there, that at one of the things in Jamestown. Well, Nancy's Hope is just a very large thrift shop that has great bargains. Most of my house is furnished in Nancy's thrift shop. And it's just fun hunting because there's a lot of artifacts in the area. People are, passing away and leaving their stuff. And there's some finds, many more than Nancy's.
Yeah, it's a place
You need a-
where you can still be thrifty by shopping at the thrift shop, which is not the case
I'll say
around here.
I'll say. Kathy has said that it's a place where you can still be thrifty because there are some real good finds up there.
I was thinking when I used to travel more, I enjoyed driving around and stopping at small restaurants. I didn't want to stop at a Denny's or anything like that, and they all seem to have disappeared in this area. But
Not really.
Not-
There
not-
is I like the Smoke Cafe in Jamestown. It's a great breakfast place. The one I can think of offhand. Les, you had your hand,
I'm sorry, who?
or Masuma?
Great talk. I
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed it. I have a question, like you mentioned about the Native Americans.
The
Do
what?
they live in the reservations or there is intermixing of local population with the Native Americans?
Can you repeat the first part?
You said there are a lot of Native Americans in that area. Do they live in the reservations or they intermix with the local population?
Both. There is over by that casino, I said that's the Black Oak Casino. There is a community center there for the Miwok Indians. They have a very large effort going on for health and housing and food. Of course, there's poverty in these people still, but there's a large help organization. I met there was a man that came to the Unitarian meeting that we had. His name was Carlos something, I can't remember the last name, but he's a very significant person. He is a Miwok that does trying to get back the native language. And he teaches around the country, around the state, in the schools of restoring the Native American language. And he put on a presentation to the Unitarian Church. He did not use a script for 1 hour. He stood up there and told his stories. And that's how the Miwok, how the Indians are. They just tell stories. And it's a wonderful feeling. That event that I put on that was in Murphy's did include a Native American presentation from the professor from Columbia College that's local to there on her experiences as a Native American. And they also talked about the food. And when I did that dinner for that event in Murphy's, we did a lot of research on food and basic food. And the dinner we put on was authentic. It was not easy. We did a couple trial ones and then we did it. And it was a very successful event.
Yeah, I just have another question. You mentioned you showed a lot of the festivals, and I didn't see any Native American festivals included in that.
There are Native American festivals. One I know of is Jackson Rancheria, which is another casino. I mean, consider all the casinos are owned by the Indians. So they put on events, and periodically they have Native American powwows or dance festivals, something like that. At that big chicken ranch that's being developed, there's a smaller one around the corner from there right now that exists. It's a live casino. And there is the cultural director there. We talked to her because we were having a real problem trying to get people to engage in our event. And we talked to this woman. She is the cultural director for the Miwok in the area. And she said, one of the reasons is they don't trust us. We're white. So it still exists. And I was on the phone with my event planner, and I just sort of like couldn't say anything. It was so deep that they don't trust us. So it was hard to get a hold of them to get engagement with our event, even though we were trying to promote recognizing the value of these people and what we have done to them and come out now, and we want this. So.
No, that sounds very interesting.
Show